It's Richard Mills from Upschool here. For more amazing free lessons like this one, create a free account at upschool.co, and we can't wait to see you on our platform.
Now, I'm Gavin McCormack. This week we're going to be learning about the solar system. This is strongly aligned with science, as you can probably imagine. Today is going to be pretty exciting. Now, the first things first. Hello, everybody from me. It has been a long time since we've had a lesson, and so this is going to be the first one we've had for a while. This is the start of many, many more. Now, the first thing to say is this: today we're going to have some key words, but before we do that, we're going to write down the title at the top of our page. So just have a little look at the overhead camera. Just here, I'll move my keyboard out of the way, just like this, guys. At the top of your page, it doesn't matter what color you use. We're going to put the title, and the title is going to be the solar system. Now, as usual, we are going to have a list of keywords. As you can see, I will share with you in just a second those keywords. But before I do, let me explain a little bit about this. So the solar system consists of everything. It consists of the sun and everything that goes around the sun, including Earth. This includes 8 planets. It used to be 9, now it's 8. We have got rid of one of those planets, and we'll talk about that in just a second, and we'll talk about why that planet has decided to vanish. All of their planets, their moons, dwarf planets, asteroids, comets, and any other small icy objects that are floating around our sun, they are all part of our solar system. The first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to list our key words here, guys, our keywords. And as you can see, this week we have 6 keywords. So in your books, on your piece of paper, what I would like you to do, you just put 6 bullet points down, just like this. And on those bullet points, if you could, we're just going to write down those keywords. I'm going to change my color. And our keywords are just here. So the first one is solar system. So pop that down. Solar system, like so. Then we've got galaxy, which we'll talk about in just a second here. Then we have planet, P-L-A-N-E-T, planet. After that, we have orbit, O-R-B-I-T, followed by asteroid. Very exciting. Asteroids, we'll get to see one today. And then we have, after that, gravity. So what we want you to do is just write them down in your book looking like this, give them an underline. And what you might want to do at this point is actually talk to the person next to you and decide, do I know what any of those words mean? Have I heard them before? Have a conversation with the people around you to decide, do I know any of these words? Can I understand them? Have I heard them before? So solar system, galaxy, planet, orbit, asteroid, and gravity. And I promise you that by the end of this lesson today, you will know what all of those things mean. Now you might think, why do I have a dog on my screen? Well, I want you to think about why that is. There is a reason why there is a dog on my screen, and you will find out shortly why. I can see my wonderful pupils over at Rise Experiential School over there. Hello, everybody at Rise. It is nice to see you all once again. Hello. I'm missing you guys very much. I'm glad that you are here. Yes, hello. All right. Let's get going with our lesson. Make sure you've got your books ready. Super. Okay, guys. So we've got the keywords down in our books. Now, Rise, I'm expecting you to help me here. When I ask a question, you're going to have to put your thumbs up and tell me, yes, Gavin, we are ready to go. So you've got your books open, you've got your keywords down inside your book. That is wonderful. Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about some questions we're going to answer today, guys. But what I'll need you to do is really going to have to write these questions down. So on your piece of paper, you have, we want you to write these questions down. Now, the first question is this: where do we live? So if you can do me a favor, in your book, and I'll show you my book so you can see over here, I'm just going to write down these questions, and there are 4 of them, because I really want to get the answer to these questions. I really want these questions to be answered today. So the first question is, where do we live? So pop that down inside your book. Where do we live? Now you might think, I live in a house. I live with my mum. I live with my dad. But this is not actually true. You do live with those people, but there's something way bigger to think about. So I can see the children at Rise getting their books out. Good work, guys. So the first question, where do we live? Let's write that down in our books next to the bullet point, just here. Where do we live? I'll just show you how to do that. In your book, it looks like this. Where do we live next to the first bullet point? So get that down, guys, and we'll go through the other 3. The second question is, which planet is known as a dwarf planet? And we're going to write that down. Which planet is known as a dwarf? Now, you might know the answer to some of these questions, and that is totally fine if you know the answer to some of these questions. That is no problem whatsoever. Remember, 2 questions to have down in your book so far. Question number 1, where do we live? Make sure you can write this down. So I can see the children at Rise Experiential School. What I really need to see is you actually writing these questions in your book. I can see you looking at the camera and saying, wow, it's so wonderful to be back in a live lesson. But in order to get this going, you need to be involved. So your first question, where do we live? Your second question, which planet is known as a dwarf planet? Write these down. Question number 3, could we live on another planet? Write it down, because we are going to find out today. Could we live on another planet? Question number 3. And you might think, yes, we can live on another planet. I've heard about that before. We're moving to Mars. We're all going to live on the moon. But today we're going to find out, actually, could we really live on another planet? And question number 4, remember, you've got to write these down. At the end of today's lesson, we're going to be having a quiz. These questions are going to be in that quiz. There are 10 questions, and I really want you and your friends to get full marks, 10 out of 10. Question number 4, how big is the universe? Wow. Let's write it down in our books. Okay. So let's just recap. 4 questions. Very important, these questions. They will be involved in the quiz later on. Remember, in your book, I need you to have them written down looking just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to do that right now. I can see some people are not. They're smiling and feeling very happy. That's wonderful. Let's get those questions in your books if you can. So the questions we're looking at, the questions we're talking about. Where do we live? Where do we actually live? You live in a house. You live in India. You live in China, you live in England, you live in Australia, but where do you actually live in the universe? Question number 2, what planet is known as a dwarf? What is a dwarf planet? Question number 3, could we live on another planet? Is that a thing? Can we actually do that? And question 4, how big is the universe? Now remember, the universe is vast. Today we're talking about how big is it? So, 4 questions. Are we ready to start, everybody? We're ready to start learning. It's ready to go. Let's get busy now. Before we begin, there are going to be some things that you are going to need to succeed in today's lesson. Here are the 3 things you are going to need to succeed. Number 1, you need to prepare a pen and a paper. Does everybody have a pen and a paper in front of them, yes or no? Put your thumbs up if you've got a pen and a paper. Okay. Number 2, have you got some colored pencils? And number 3, do you have a friend or a partner? So I can see the children over in Snittermom's class over there. Now, do you have a friend? You have a pen and a paper? You have everything you need? Yes or no? Put a thumbs up if you've got everything you need. Yes, I can see someone is helping me out. Wonderful. Good. Okay. Let's get started then, guys. Here we go. Here's where the information comes. Now, from this point onwards, you are going to need to write down some facts. You are going to need to take notes from this point. Everything I'm about to say is going to be included in the quiz at the end. So the first thing is this: where is our solar system? In 1 minute, I'm going to show you the solar system. It's going to blow your mind. This is absolutely amazing. Now, the first thing is, it's our galaxy that's called the Milky Way. We live in a place called the Milky Way. You might think to yourself, I live in India, I live in America, I live in China. Well, actually, you don't. You live in the Milky Way. It's a bright light in our solar system. That's where we live, by the way. You can see the diagram on the right-hand side. Now, when you look in the sky at nighttime, all of the stars that you see are in our galaxy. And our galaxy is called the Milky Way because it looks a little bit milky. Here's a number for you, and you might want to write this down. There are 100 billion stars in our Milky Way. 100 billion. Now remember, each star has planets. When we look in the sky and we see the sun, we just see one star. But in our Milky Way, there are 100 billion stars. That's 100 billion suns. Each sun has planets around it. How goodness me. Now, you might want to write some of this information down. It's going to help you in the quiz at the end. Would you like to have a look at our Milky Way and see where you live? Would you like to have a look at that? Put your thumbs up if you'd like to answer the first question, where do we live? All right, super duper. Let's have a look at where we live. Now, before I show you, can you see that big cloud on the screen? It looks like a big omelet, doesn't it? It's all swirly and whirly, and in the middle there's a bright light. Now, can you see that red arrow? Can everyone see the red arrow? Yes? That red arrow is pointing to one star. Can you see that star? That's our sun. You, right now, in your classroom, are flying around that sun in this huge, huge area called the Milky Way. Would you like to see the Milky Way moving? This is a real video of the real Milky Way that you're in right now. You're sitting in your classroom, you've got your book, your pencil, your friends, your paper, you've got your blue table, you've got Smither Mom, you're at Rise Experiential School, you're feeling like, nothing's really happening. I'm really fine here. Let me show you where you really are. You are at the end of that red arrow. And here is what's happening to you right now. This. You're swirling around at around about 78,000 kilometers every second as we speak. That is what you are up to right now. So when someone asks you, where do you live? You say, I live in the Milky Way. I'm orbiting a star. It's our sun. And we're flying around in the Milky Way at about 76,000 kilometers a second. That is where you are right now. Now, in that picture, you can see there are about 100 billion stars. You have got one of them. We've got our own sun. Can you imagine how wild it is? Now, just to let you know, guys, this is just one galaxy, the Milky Way. There are about 100 billion of these galaxies. So now we're starting to answer that final question, which is, how big is the universe? Here's what I'd like you to do now. I'll give you a minute. You see the diagram on your screen? Can you see that very simple diagram on your screen? It shows you where you are. Can you draw that in your book right now, please? I will show you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to draw my own version of that in my book, just like this. So I'm just going to quickly draw the center of the Milky Way like this. And then around the edge, I'm actually going to draw these concentric circles, which are flying around just like this, lighter and lighter and lighter like this. So if you can draw that in your book, that would be super. I'll give you just a second to do that so that you understand where you live. And I'll show you what mine looks like just at the end. Now, a couple of facts to remind yourself of, guys, to remember, because we're having the quiz at the end, don't forget. There are about 100 billion stars in our solar system. 100 billion. You might want to write down what 100 billion looks like. It's on your screen at the bottom. It is 100, and after 100, it has 11 zeros. 100 billion. That is a very, very vast amount. That's how many stars there are. Imagine how many planets there are. That's a lot, isn't it? Okay, so my diagram's looking just like this. You might want to have a look at mine. I'm going to draw an arrow over here like this, saying, we are here. That's where you are right now. So you're sitting at Rise Experiential School. You're sitting in grade 7 with Smith and Mom. You're at your table. You're relaxing. You're having a lesson. But actually, what's really happening is you're flying around the galaxy. You're flying, orbiting the center of the universe like this. That's what you're actually up to. You're actually doing this right now as you speak. How wonderful. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to move into our solar system, guys. Let's go into our solar system and have a little look. So right now, we're talking about our solar system really close to us. And I know many of you already know this, and it's not a problem. I know that you know our own solar system and our planets. We're just going to recap on those for just a second. So take a look at the screen. We have several planets that you can see. We have the Sun, and then we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I've included it, although it's not a planet anymore, and we'll find out in just a second about that. Now, our solar system is made up of a star, 8 planets, and countless smaller bodies, such as dwarf planets, asteroids, and comets. Now, the order of the planets in the solar system, starting from nearest to the Sun and working outwards, is the following. Here's what I would like you to do in your books. Just take a look at mine. Turn your page landscape like me, just like this. Now, you have to be very careful with this, guys, because we're actually going to take some notes in just a second. What I want you to do is produce me a very simple diagram. Over here on this side, I would like you to draw me the Sun, just like this. And then I want you to do this. Just draw me all the planets coming out and try to keep them kind of to the right size. So I'll flick back to here, guys, and I'll give you just 2 or 3 minutes just to do that. Remember, try to keep them to scale. But at the very end of today's lesson, actually, you're going to learn that the scales are all wrong. So I'm sorry, because we can never fit them on our page because these planets are actually huge. They wouldn't actually fit onto our page. Now, you might notice something really interesting when you do this. You'll start to see that some of the planets are different sizes. Of course they are. Take a look at Mars, for example. Many people think that Mars is bigger than Earth, but if you take a good look at it, actually Mars is smaller than Earth. How interesting. Mine looks a bit like this, just to show you. Mine's really simple. I haven't actually put any color onto it, and I haven't named any of the planets yet. I've just drawn the shapes and the outline. That is all you need to do. At the top of your page, though, you might want to write down our solar system, like this. Now, you might be thinking, Gavin, we know this. I'm in grade 9. I know all about this. Well, this is just the beginning. We're about to get very interesting. Now, just while you're doing that and drawing that, and I can see, your cameras are on. I can see some people aren't drawing that. It would be perfect if you were drawing it. So make sure that you've got all of those planets actually in your book. I'll go back to it here so you can do that. You just need the outline. You don't need to do any coloring or even label them. Now, while you're doing it, let me just give you some ideas. Different planets are closer to the Sun, meaning they're hotter. Further ones away are colder. We'll learn about that in a second. Some of them are made of rock. Some of them are made of gas. Some of them, you could not stand on them. If you tried, you would fall all the way through the planet and come out the other end. You think it's a planet, actually it's just made of gas. Now there's one planet you need to take note of, and I want you to take a note of this in your book. Jupiter. Take a look at Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet, and it has a nickname. It's called the Big Brother. Jupiter's nickname is the Big Brother. Now, if you are a little child and you have a big brother, what does your big brother do? Well, your big brother protects you. If there's a bully, if there's a dog, if there's a cat going to attack you, meow, who will look after you? Well, your big brother. Now, Jupiter is your big brother because there are comets and meteors flying through the universe all the time. And guess who protects you? Jupiter. Jupiter's gravity is so strong that when a meteor flies in, look in the top right corner, you can see that meteor coming into the screen. Guess what happens? It doesn't hit Earth because Jupiter takes care of us by attracting it and absorbing it. Now, can I just check that you've got this on your paper in your book? Put your thumbs up if you've got this down in your book. You're going to need it for the rest of the lesson. Can somebody put their thumb up and let me know? Do you have this in your book? Yes or no? Yes? Thumbs up, yes. It's in your book. You've drawn it. Can somebody at Rise put their thumb up? I can see you all, so it'd be great if you could just put your thumb up and tell me if you've got that diagram down in your books. Somebody let me know. Yes, no, maybe. Okay, let's move on. Now, what would it be like if an asteroid actually came towards us? Let's take a look. Would you like to see? Asteroids are flying through the universe all the time. They're flying through space. In fact, 65 million years ago, an asteroid came from space. It hit the Earth, kaboom, and it wiped out 75% of every single thing that lived on the planet. All the animals that existed were gone, extinct, including the dinosaurs. Here is what an asteroid floating through the solar system actually looks like. Check this out. How amazing. It's flying towards Earth, on fire, coming towards the planet. If it was to hit the planet, we'd have a big problem on our hands. However, we're very, very lucky because we have our big brother. We have, obviously, we have Jupiter looking after us all the time. Let's have a look again. Look at this. And there are literally millions of these flying through our galaxy and solar system all the time. Okay, so let's look at our first 4 planets now. Now on your diagram, what you have here, guys, is you have yourself a wonderful diagram of your planets of the solar system. I'm just going to move my camera over here so you can see me a bit better. There I am. Beautiful. Okay, now here's the chance for you to actually take some notes at this point. We're going to focus on Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So flick back to this diagram here. Let's label our first 4 planets. So first 4 planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Let's label them all if we can. I'll do them on my diagram. I need you to do the same. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So take a look at my diagram here. Mine looks something like this. What I'll do, let me just zoom in on this so I can actually, let's go a bit closer. Yeah, here we go. That's better. Okay, super. That's actually a lot better for you guys. Now you can see that a lot clearer. So what I've done, I've labeled my diagram. Take a look at it right here. I've labeled the 4 planets that I'm talking about. So I'm only focusing on what we call the inner planets, okay? Let's go back to my overhead. Let me tell you a little bit about each planet. And what I would like you to do, while I'm talking about these planets, I'd love you to give them a bit of color. So let's have a look at my diagram here. While I'm talking about Earth, it's a good idea to give Earth a little bit of color, guys. If you've got a color in your hand and you can do this, that would be super. Give your diagram a little bit of color to make it more attractive. And you might want to write down a couple of notes along the way. So let's go back to my diagram right here. The first planet to talk about, guys, is Mercury. Now, I want you to take some notes down here. Hello. I want you to take some notes down as I speak to you guys. So Mercury. Mercury, check this out. On Earth, 1 year is 365 days. But on Mercury, it's only 88 days. If you live on Mercury, 1 year is only 88 days. It's a very quick year. Number 2, let's go to Venus. Now, what I'll do in my book, just to show you this, I'm just going to write that down. 88 days. So I can remember this. And I'm actually going to color Mercury in. Mercury is a grayish color. I'm going to color my Mercury in like this. Give my diagram a little bit of color like this. Beautiful. So you need to be taking some notes here as we go through the different parts. Let's go to Venus next. Now, interestingly, and I bet you didn't know this, Venus is actually the hottest planet. You would think it would be Mercury, wouldn't you? You would think, surely it's Mercury, it's closer to the sun. Actually, Venus has lots of clouds. They keep in the heat. Guess how hot it is in Venus? 475 degrees. By the way, water boils at 100 degrees. This is 4 times hotter. Do you think you could live on Venus? Definitely not. In Mumbai today, over in Nasik, it is 31 degrees in Nasik. It feels hot. In Venus, 475 degrees. There is no way that humans could live on Venus. What I'm going to do in my book, I'm just going to put 475 degrees. And then I'm going to give Venus a little bit of color. Just like this. To make my diagram nice and interesting. Remember, everything you learn now, you'll need to remember for later on. By the way, I can see some people are really not writing. Nothing's going in their books. Like they're just looking and listening, and it's really, really cool. But you've got to be taking the notes, guys. Very important. There's a lady right in front of the camera, Smith & Arms camera. You are taking so many notes. Well done. I absolutely love it. Great work. Okay, let's go to our next planet. Now, this is your planet, guys. This is Earth. You live on Earth. Earth is suitable for humans and life. It's just warm enough, it's just cool enough, and we have our own moon, which is really, really nice. Check this fact out, which is really interesting. It is the only place that we know of in the entire solar system and universe where there is any kind of life. Any kind of life, even the smallest bug or insect. Earth is the only place that we know about that has life. How crazy can that be? So Earth, I'm just going to write down here, only place with life. Now in the future, we might discover that there is life elsewhere, but right now, Earth is the only place that we know about. Imagine if this was the only place in the entire universe with all those suns, and all those stars, and all those moons, hundreds of billions of trillions, and we're the only place in the entire universe that has any kind of life. How amazing is that? The last planet in our inner solar system is the planet of Mars. And we all know what color Mars is. It's got a nickname. We call it the red planet. So we best color Mars red. Now here's an amazing fact for you about Mars. Mars has the largest volcano ever discovered. The largest volcano. Would you like to see what the volcano on Mars looks like? You might think, you know what, I've seen a volcano before. I've seen a mountain. Let me tell you now, you have not seen anything like this. Okay, so give me a thumbs up, please. Smith & Arm, in your class, could your children put their thumbs up and let me know, do they have all 4 planets? Do they have some notes like mine? And have they got them colored in? Can somebody stick up their thumb, put up their hand? Let me know, are we okay to move on to the next part? Can somebody just do that for me and let me know? All right. Perfect. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's go and take a look at this volcano that I spoke about before. The largest volcano in the entire universe that we've discovered. So here you go. Here's a picture that you might want to jot down in your books. On the right-hand side, you will see that that is Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the biggest mountain in the world. It is 8,848 meters high. Look at it. It's quite tall, quite scary, quite big. It is nothing compared to Olympus Mons. Olympus Mons, 26,000 meters high. And imagine how high it was before it erupted as a volcano. It is huge. It is actually 3 times bigger than Mount Everest. Now that is what I call a very, very big volcano indeed. So let's move on. Quite interesting though. What a volcano that is. Let's go now to our outer planets. We have 4 outer planets. Take a look at these. So here we go. Go back to our diagram like this. And once again, don't forget, each time I mention a diagram, you'll need to make sure that you are labeling it and writing down the interesting fact to go with it. So here we go. Our first planet we're going to look at is going to be Jupiter. Wow, what a planet. Remember, Jupiter is the big brother of our solar system. It is the largest planet and it has the shortest day. And one day in Jupiter is only 9 hours, 55 minutes. One day, 9 hours. That's a very short day. So on my diagram, I'm going to label it Jupiter, and I'm going to put 1 day equals 9 hours, 55 minutes, just like this. Wow, pretty interesting. And at the very end of this presentation today, you're going to see actually just how big Jupiter is. It might look small on your diagram, but it is gigantic, everybody. The next planet we're looking at is Saturn. Saturn is famous for its rings. Actually, the rings in Saturn are made of ice. How interesting. So I'm going to color in my Saturn diagram. I'm going to choose a nice color, like this one here. And I'm going to label it just like this, Saturn. And I'm going to put rings made of ice, just like that. Beautiful. My solar system is starting to look really nice now. Let's go with planet number 7. We're going to Uranus. Planet Uranus is very, very cold indeed. In fact, it is minus 224 degrees. Minus 224 degrees. So here we go. Uranus, minus 224 degrees. And because it's so cold, obviously, I'm going to color it blue, just like this. Super duper. My diagram's looking pretty good. All right, let's keep going, everybody. Let's keep going. Here we go. Next planet we're looking at is Neptune, the very last planet in our diagram. Now, here we go. This is very exciting. And hello, the children from Rise. I can see you. Nice to see you, everybody. Neptune. Well, Neptune is 2.8 billion miles away from the sun. 2.8 billion. Let me write that down. Neptune, and remember, you need to be writing this down too. It's 2.8 billion miles away. 2.8 billion, that is very, very far indeed. And once again, Neptune is very, very cold. I'm going to color it blue. So my diagram is looking like this. I hope that yours is looking similar to mine. I'll leave my diagram just here for a minute so that you can also color yours in. I'm just going to give mine a little bit of color here like this. Now, for lots of people, today's lesson so far will just be a revision. You're probably thinking, but Gavin, I know a lot of this stuff already. And you're right. But we're just warming up at this point, warming up. So the question is, what are you going to do with this diagram? You know, like you're thinking to yourself, well, I've drawn a diagram. What am I going to do with it? Now, your job is to take this diagram and to show it to somebody else. You're going to have to teach somebody about the universe, teach somebody about the solar system. You're going to have to pass on the knowledge and become a teacher. Now, would you like to see what it would look like if you were living on Neptune? Can you put your thumb up? I can see there is a young man at Rise Exponential School at the front of the camera there. Would you like to see what it looks like if you were living on Neptune? I bet you would. Okay, let's have a look. Here we go, guys. So if you were living on Neptune, can you see that arrow on the screen? Can you see the pink arrow? Look at the sun. It's so tiny in the distance, isn't it? Look how tiny that sun is. It's so small. And that's why it's so cold on Neptune, because the sun is simply so far away. It's 2.8 billion miles away. It's very, very far. And that's why Neptune is so cold. So if you lived on Neptune, that's what you would see. Look at your view. You would really never get warm. It's very, very far away. Okay, the next part is very important. Have you got your pens and paper ready? I'm about to give you an interesting fact that you need to take note of. Are you ready? So guys, get your pencil and paper ready. Let's flick. Now in our universe, in our solar system, in our galaxy, we also have 5 dwarf planets. You need to write these down in your book. These are definitely in the quiz, and there are bonus points for those people who can remember them. So take a quick look. In our solar system, we have 5 dwarf planets. Their names are on your screen. The first one is called Ceres or Ceres. We have Pluto. We have Haumea. We have Makemake, which is very interesting. And we have Eris. I would like you to write them down. Make sure you can remember them. I'll give you 30 seconds to have them in your book. At the end, there is a quiz, and I really want you to get them down. So remember your 5 dwarf planets, Ceres, Pluto, Makemake, Haumea, and Eris. Write them in your book as quick as possible. You have 30 seconds left to get them down. If you haven't got them down, there is no way that you will remember them. No way. You now have 15 seconds to have them down. These are dwarf planets in our solar system. So we all know we have 8 planets, but actually there are more planets. There are actually 13 planets, but these ones, we call them dwarf planets. So we don't really recognize them as real planets. You've got 5 more seconds left to have them down in your book. Okay. Now here's an interesting fact for you. You cannot stand on Uranus. It's impossible to stand on the planet of Uranus. You might be in the planet for a bit of a shock when you get there, because as you step off your spaceship to go and stand on Uranus, it's made of gas. You will fly straight through the planet. Same with Jupiter, same with Saturn, and the same with Neptune. All of these planets are made of gas. They're not made of rock or water like Earth, but they do have a rocky core in the middle. So there are 4 planets that you could never stand on. Would you like to have a look what Neptune looks like in real life? Here we go. If you were to fly through the universe, if you were to take a spaceship and zoom away from Earth and fly to Neptune, this is what it would look like. Have a look at Neptune. Here is how Neptune looks. Wow. Are you ready, guys, to have a look? It looks just like this. How cool Now remember, Neptune is only made of gas. If you were to land on that planet and try to stand on it, you would fly straight through the middle and you would come out of the other side, because this planet is not only freezing cold, minus 224 degrees, but it is also made of gas, like a cloud. When you fly in an aeroplane, you fly straight through a cloud. That's exactly how it would feel traveling through this planet. It's only made of gas. Okay, now guys, here's what I would like you to do. It is time for us to start our weekly quiz. Are you ready for the weekly quiz? If you are, I would really like you to put down in your book the numbers 1 to 10 if you can. Numbers 1 to 10 in your book so that we can see if you were listening or not. Okie dokie, let's get going. Are we ready? Question number 1, and we'll go through the answers at the end, so don't worry about it. Question number 1 in your books, please. Which planet is known as the blue planet? Some of these questions I will have told you, some of them I will not have told you. You'll need to talk to the people around you. One of the planets is named the blue planet. Which one do you think it is? And I'll give you a clue. It is not Neptune. You might think it's Neptune, but it is not Neptune, guys. This one is not Neptune. The blue planet. I'll make my camera a little bit bigger so you can see. Here it is. There we go. Super. Which planet is the blue planet? Question number 1. Question number 2. Write it down in your books. Talk to the person next to you. Which planet has the most volcanoes in the solar system? Which planet has the most volcanoes in the solar system? Question number 2. I'll give you 10 seconds to decide with your partner. Okay. Question number 3. Which planet is the largest of the inner rocky planets? Which one is the largest? Go back to your diagram. Which one was the biggest of the inner planets? Ooh. Was it Mars? Was it Mercury? Which one was the largest one? Write it down if you think you know the answer. And remember, you can talk to a friend. Question number 4. Which planet is the hottest planet? Ooh, how exciting. Which one is the hottest? That's a tricky question. Which one is the hottest? And remember, it is not the sun, not a planet. 10 seconds to write down the answer. Which one is the hottest planet? Question number 5. Here we go. Which planet has the highest mountain in the solar system? Which one has the highest mountain? Let me just change that for you to make it easier. Which one has the highest volcano? There we go. Question number 5. Which planet has the highest volcano in the solar system? You should be able to get that one very easy. Question number 6. This is a hard one, guys. You'll need to really know your knowledge here. Which planet is known for having a giant hurricane, like a storm, called the red spot? One of the planets has a big red spot, and it's called the giant hurricane. It's a storm. Which planet are we talking about? It's a tricky one. Talk to your partner, write down the answer. Question number 8. Which planet is the furthest from the sun? Now listen to the whole question. It's not Neptune or Pluto. Which one is the furthest from the sun, but you can still see it with your eyes as a human being? Oh, that's a very tricky one. So which planet is the furthest away from the sun, but you can still see it with your eyes if you look? Very interesting. Next one, question number 9. Which planet is known as the big brother of the solar system? Which planet is the big brother? That's an easy one for you guys. Now, question number 10 is hard, and it's for 6 points. Question 10 is for 6 points, so get ready for this one. 6 points for question number 10. We have 5 dwarf planets in the solar system. Can you name them all? All 5 dwarf planets, can you name them all? And then we will go through the answers. And if we have enough time, I want to share with you an amazing video which is going to blow your socks off. Okay, are you ready for the answers? The boy in Smith and Mom's class who's at the front of the class, could you put your thumb up and tell me, are you ready for the answers, sir? You are. All right, are you 100% sure? Yes, I can see you, brother, don't worry. I can see your thumb up. Thank you for telling me. That is super. Let's go back to the questions and make sure we can get them all correct. Okay, here we go then. Okay, let's go. Which planet is named as the blue planet? This planet is planet Earth. Planet Earth, guys, is the blue planet. Question number 2, which planet has the most volcanoes in the solar system? This is Mars, everybody. Wonderful. Question number 3, which planet is the largest of the inner planets? This is Earth again. Ha ha ha, Earth is the largest. Very good. Question number 4, which planet is the hottest? This planet is Venus, is the hottest planet, everyone. Question number 5, which planet has the highest volcano? It is Mars, and the name of the volcano is Olympus Mons. Question number 6, which planet is known for having a giant hurricane in the middle, a big red spot? This planet is Jupiter, everybody. Jupiter has the big red spot, our big brother. Question number 7, which planet has the shortest year? Oh no, I didn't ask you that question. Sorry, here we go. Did I ask you that question? Yes, no, I didn't. Question 8, which planet is the furthest from the sun that can still be seen with the naked eye? Which planet is furthest from the sun that can still be seen with the naked eye? It is Saturn, everybody. Saturn is this one. Question number 9, which planet is known as the big brother? This one is Jupiter. And question number 10, the hardest question of all, worth 6 points, taking you to a maximum of 15 points. The name of your planets is on your screen: Ceres, Pluto, Makemake, Haumea, and Eris, guys. Now, give yourself a mark out of 15 points if you can. There were 9 questions, and there were also a bonus question worth 6 points. If you get all 5 correct, you get 6 points. Now, firstly, thank you. Thank you for coming along. It's been nice to having you all. Second thing to say to everyone is this: I would like to show you something before I go, and I think you're going to be extremely impressed by this, guys. You're going to be so impressed by what I'm about to show you. And I'm going to finish with this. I wanted to inspire you before we ended today's lesson. Now, as I've shared with you already, today we have experienced that we are actually really, really small. We're not that big, actually. We're really, really small. And we are not, sitting at our tables, living in, India, Mumbai, China, wherever we live. We actually live in the solar system. We live in the galaxy. We're flying through space right now at about 76,000 kilometers a second. It's a very dangerous world out there. But what you do need to know is this, is you are actually tiny. You are tiny. You are tinier than you can ever imagine. And I am going to explain how tiny you are. You see, you are a person and you're living on a planet, planet Earth. Planet Earth is so small. Compared to the sun, We are 1,000,000 times smaller. But just to tell you something really interesting, our sun is the tiniest sun. It's so tiny. Would you like to see some of the biggest suns in the universe and see how big they are? Let's take a look and have a vision of what the other suns look like in the solar system. Let me share with you something. Here we go. Dum, 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 dum. Here we go. Are we ready? Take a look at this, everybody. Take a look at my screen. So here is Mars, everybody. This is the planet we were talking about before. It looks big, but it's not that big. Look at the next planet. So here's Venus, and then we get to Earth. Just to explain to you, that is where you live. Now you might think, well, we're pretty big. Let's see how big you actually are. That's where you live on Earth. Let's continue. This is Neptune. By the way, let's just remember, look how small Earth is compared to Neptune. We are tiny. Oh my goodness. And then there's Saturn. Look at Earth now. Earth is minuscule now. Saturn is enormous. We continue and we get to Jupiter. Jupiter's pretty big. You can see how big Jupiter is, but you can see what's coming next. Now we're about to see how big the sun is. And this is why it's so hot. Goodness me. Do you remember where Earth was? Earth was right down here, tiny. This is our sun. But to explain to you guys, our sun is tiny. It's a tiny sun. Let's see some of the other suns. Sirius A, double the size of our sun. Pollux, the orange giant, about 10,000 times bigger than our sun. Arcturus. And we get in all the way through to the red giants. Look at the size of these. When we get to Rigel, it is enormous. Then we get to Pistol Star. This one is gigantic. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're into Mu Shapai, the red supergiant. And then we have a red hydra giant. Now take a look at this. If we go back, remember, we were the tiniest object at the beginning of this video. Let's just recall how we were looking compared to the other planets. This was our moon. It looked big. Compared to Mercury, compared to Mars. Then we get to Venus again, and we get to Earth next, and we look big. When we skip the video and start to look later on, we start to see and remember how small we were. That really, we are absolutely tiny. Now, to show you how small we really are, this is the surface of Betelgeuse, which is the largest star that we know about. That is what Earth would look like next to this. It's 2.8 billion kilometers. If you were flying on an aeroplane trying to fly around this sun, it would take you 1,100 years to get around it just one time. Many, many lifetimes to get around this sun. It is absolutely gigantic. And don't forget, that's just in our galaxy. There are around about 100 billion galaxies out there. So who knows what the size of some of these suns might actually be. Okay, now everybody, we are back. Thank you for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it and enjoyed the show. I would like to say thank you for coming. thank you for taking the time to attend my lesson. It has been extremely fun to have you all here. I will see you next week, and goodbye for this week. We will take care and take care of yourselves, take care of your mums, your dads, your family, everybody that you love. And I will see you next week on Wednesday at the same time for another lesson. Goodbye, everybody.
It's Richard Mills from Upschool here. For more amazing free lessons like this one, create a free account at upschool.co, and we can't wait to see you on our platform.